let me take you through a timeline here. You first slammed Democratic officials following the Christmas parade over the weekend. You said when you look the other way, when you almost encourage lawlessness, I would drop the word almost, just like let's face it, you have political figures doing during the summer riots of 2020, encouraging people to donate to the bail fund so you can bail these people out. When you encourage lawlessness, you're going to get more of it. It becomes more and more violent. It starts spilling over from crime-ridden, generally Democratic-governed cities into surrounding areas. That's probably what we witnessed here in Waukesha. You started to get all kinds of heat from the left on that. Do you still stand by those words?
Yes, I'm outraged by what happened because it never should have happened, Glenn. It never should have happened. The accused, now I'll call him the accused, he never should have been out on the street. But it's the catch and release, not only at the southern border, but we have catch and release within our criminal justice system. And you've got the left pushing either low bail or no bail. And then again, you had the current vice president after the Minneapolis riots encouraging people to donate to a bail fund, to bail the rioters out. You have the press looking the other way, as during the 570-plus riots during the summer, instead all the focuses on January 6th, as much as I condemn that. Now, I'm also condemning the violence, the 2,000 law enforcement officers who were injured during those summer riots, the couple dozen people killed during those, the $2 billion of the property damage. We're all supposed to look away from that. But we focus instead on, when there may be a perpetrator that comes more from the right side of the political spectrum. So no, I'm outraged by all of this, but I am outraged for the citizens, for the community of Waukesha that are suffering when they shouldn't have had to. This never should have happened. And we've got to call it out. Part of the healing process, part of the due process is to examine, why is this guy in the street? Why was he able to commit this evil, heinous act? Why? And then correct it. So that's going to be part of the process.
So
go ahead.
So help me out, because just a few days later, you come out with a statement with Tammy Baldwin, who is your cohort there in Congress. She's the Democrat senator from Wisconsin. And you write this: "It has come to our attention that outside individuals or groups may attempt to exploit the tragedy that occurred last Sunday in Waukesha for their own political purposes. As the U.S. senators representing Wisconsin, one from each political party, we are asking everyone to consider such action to cease and desist. We have full confidence in the local officials who responded with extraordinary professionalism, competence, integrity, and compassion. They have many difficult duties to perform in the coming days, weeks, and months, and they should be afforded the respect and support they deserve to undertake their responsibilities without outside interference." You go on for a couple of more paragraphs, but it's basically the same thing. What's angering some people on both sides is you just made it political by saying what you just said, and now you're saying don't make it political. Well, how is this not a political issue?
So I guess you have to read carefully what I said. I was trying to head off the past action that could result in potential violence again in Waukesha. So, I had received from the people I'd spoken to on Monday, I get a call that Friday that they are concerned that groups from both sides were going to descend on Waukesha to protest or whatever, and they were concerned of a clash and maybe more violence. And so all I was reacting to, then they asked me, can I do anything to help? And I said, well, I could issue a statement. I could try and get Senator Baldwin on a bipartisan basis, just ask people, please don't do that. Now, we weren't specific. I didn't want to give anybody ideas. This was just something that may have been planning. We were just trying to head something off the past. But I was talking about action. I was talking about potential violence. This is obviously a political situation. And I, by the way, I share. So, yeah, I'm getting a lot of criticism from the right. I basically agree with them 99% in terms of what they're talking about, because I am outraged by the fact that the left wouldn't stop talking about, for example, Charlottesville. They won't stop talking about January 6th. But you don't hear much about the assault on the Republican members of Congress on the baseball field. I don't think Waukesha is really much on anybody's front page other than in right-wing media now. So trust me, both of us are recipients of grossly unfair coverage by the left-wing media, the distortions, the lies, the false narratives. So no, I'm not happy with it all. I think I blame the press for so much of our divisiveness in this country. They exacerbate it. They're the ones that light the fuse. So I completely agree with even people criticizing me. I understand why they criticize me, and I agree with them. But again, they're just getting it wrong. That I was inferring that don't make this political. It is political. This occurred because of political decisions on no and low bail that need to be corrected, but they need to be called out. So again, I think my statement was misconstrued. Again, they didn't understand the backstory. They didn't understand I was responding to requests to help to try and head something off of the past. We didn't want to see more violence. Again, I'm talking to people who had to help pick up dead bodies off the pavement. They had enough to deal with. They didn't need to deal with additional protesters and people taking advantage of the situation, physical presence potentially resulting in violence.
Coming in from other parts of the country too. Usually these protesters are bussed outside in. So what do we do about this? What can be done? I mean, the media is truly responsible. The best example, counterexample of this is what happened in Charlottesville. That story everybody knows. Donald Trump took the brunt of that one because basically he said kind of the same thing. He was saying there's good people on both sides. I condemn those who do the violent, but let's not bunch everybody into this together. He was saying let's look at this rationally. The press wouldn't do it. You're saying, we have to talk about politics, but let's be rational on the ground. Let's not do anything that calls BLM in or, any white supremacist group in. Correct?
Yeah, right. I just didn't want to see physical presence that could result in violence.
Okay.
But no, the political discussion has to take place. And there's no doubt about it. The media, the bulk of the mainstream media, the social media, they are far left. Fortunately, we still have freedom of the press. So, we've got we've got the Blaze, we've got other conservative outlets. So we have freedom of the press, but we are by and large overwhelmed by the left press in the mainstream media. It's a huge disadvantage that we have. So we've got to work harder. We've got to work smarter. We do need to remain unified as much as possible. I think that would also be helpful.
Jason Whitlock is here. He's a BlazeTV host, fearless. He has written and spoken about Waukesha a lot, and he disagrees with Senator Ron Johnson, who was on with us an hour ago and who has written his own op-ed that can be found at theblaze.com right now. I'll be tweeting it out soon. Jason says, here's why Darrell Brooks and the Waukesha massacre must be politicized. And I don't know, Jason, if you heard the senator, but I don't think he disagrees with you.
I did hear what he said. I've read his op-ed. It was sent to me. And what I would say is I think that Ron Johnson and a lot of conservatives don't understand how boldly and fearlessly the left is going to have to be confronted about their racist strategy that they're executing, and that the Waukesha massacre gives us a great opportunity to boldly and fearlessly put it in everyone's face just how evil, wicked, dastardly, deceptively they're going about trying to change America. Correct. And they're using race to do it, and they have to be called out on this at all times. And so I reread his original statement with Tammy Baldwin, and I get that he's saying that, what I was trying to infer is, let's not have political violence. And listening to his words today, I can see where he was trying to go with that public statement.
Correct.
But, the statement out there on its own looked like the kind of naivety that I see from a lot of conservatives, that somehow we're going to make peace with these guys and we're going to be above addressing the racial game that's being played on conservatives and people of traditional values and Christians. And we just can't afford to do it. And I know there's great peril and risk to doing it, and particularly for white guys. But that is what the time requires.
So I agree with you 100%. I happen to agree with him also 100%. Because I think the disagreement here is in the nuance. Because he came out and blasted the media, blasted the left, blasted this new, justice reform bullcrap that lets everybody out without bail. And he took that on. Then for the vigil and everything else, he was saying, let's not have political activists out on the streets. Let's not make this political, no violence. So I think the problem here is we don't have a tolerance of nuance. We see people as either on our side or off our side. And you could say that about either one of you. You're not on the side of peace, and you're not on the side of defending the republic. You guys are both on the same side. It's just this lack of nuance or reality of nuance. Because if we don't appreciate nuance, we're going to lose, because we need everybody on the same side.
Glenn, I would agree. And one of my strengths, and maybe a flaw in this example, is I'm a writer.
Yeah.
And so words matter. And so what I read was, hey, don't anybody exploit this for political purposes. What I heard him say today was, let's make sure there's no political violence.
Yes.
And so I was reacting to what was in the statement. I think where Ron Johnson makes a great point is he's basically, in his op-ed, he's like, Jason, or whoever's criticizing, call me, man. I'm on your team. Didn't you see what I said earlier?
Right.
I totally agree. And so that's a fair criticism of me.
Yeah, no, it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. I just think that because my first question to him was, how do you not make this about politics? Because politics is what led to this.
Yes. No question about it.
Right.
And you just hammered my point.
Right.
In terms of their political strategy, the Democratic political strategy is racially dividing this country and leading to this sort of violence. And to sit there and to think Darrell Brooks killed 6 people, and his social media posts filled with his worldview, his racist worldview, his anti-Trump worldview.
He quotes Hitler. Hitler.
Yes, all the things that allegedly inspired the insurrection.
Yeah.
That only one person died, and she was shot by police. And here we got 6 dead bodies, one of them a child, 50, 60 people in the hospital. And we know that, I don't know what percent, if it's only 2%. He was radicalized by our corporate media and the mainstreaming of ideas that are repugnant and false. And we need to talk about the consequences of the strategy that the Democrats are executing. And so it has to be exploited for political purposes. I get his desire and wanting to be a responsible politician and make sure there's no additional violence. I don't know if I would have issued and I know that there's a joint statement between Democrats and Republicans. I'd have put out my own statement because you start compromising with idiots and people that have no respect for objective truth. You ended up coming out with a watered-down statement that doesn't clearly state what you actually believe.
Sure.
And that's my problem with the left. objective truth is not part of their platform. It's not part of what they believe. And so you end up compromising with people, and you meet people halfway to stupidity.